I'd like to call the meeting of October 11th to order at 6:02. The first item of business is the Superintendent Search. So I'd like to ask Ms. Jackie Starks to come to the front and help us lead this portion of the meeting.
You want to be here?
Just make sure you speak up.
Okay.
Thank you. Should I turn on the mic?
It doesn't.
It's not?
Well, it's not.
Yes.
Oh, it's your name.
Thank you now. All right.
When you get an amplifier.
I know. I noticed that. Yeah, it looks on. No. Try it again. Testing, testing.
There you go.
That was something.
Can we find Chris?
Raining outside.
I'll call Chris.
Okay. All right, Paul, we'll start and then Chris will come fix us.
Don't tell us how to do.
Well, he's a legal.
Oh,
All right, we'll let Chris do it. All right, Jackie, go ahead. Sorry.
So thanks for having me. We've gotten a great deal accomplished since our last meeting. And based upon your direction. Tonight I would like to talk to you about an adjusted timeline as a result of my absence. My apologies for that. And then I would like to move into stakeholder feedback. And then take a look at our almost final draft brochure. And then I'd like to share with you qualities and characteristics that were different from those that you identified that I received from the stakeholder groups. So you can consider that for your brochure. And then I would like to take a look at advertising decisions so that we can go out to it on October 15th. That's my target. So first, to take a look at your timeline of what was adjusted. I had to make some adjustments on the date of the content basis and the deadline for receipt of applications, which moved us just about a week. We have copied of the original timeline. What I would like to ask is to have an opportunity to meet with you one more time before I start doing preliminary interviewing and reviewing the applications. And the purpose of that would be for me to review the feedback from the stakeholder groups, clarifying any questions, additional information that I received from stakeholders that are off topic, that are important for you to know about. So I'm wondering if you want to consider an hour and a half for me on either November 6th, which is a Tuesday, or possibly November 8th, which is a Thursday.
Six and the eighth.
Yeah.
I'm okay today.
Okay, what time of day are you talking about?
Well, it's,
Whatever your pleasure, I would do later in the evening, earlier.
I would need evening.
Yeah, that would be fine.
This will be a public meeting, right? Because the 6th of May is election.
Election day.
I don't want to compete with people's time. The 8th is fine.
I have a meeting at 6 o'clock that day, but we can see if I can change it.
Would the 6th work if you did the 6th? So the 6th would work for you. So we either need to possibly, I mean, if Paul can't move his meeting on the 8th, that would be worse.
Sounds to me like the 6th is better, even though there's.
Personally,
Right.
Can we do 6 o'clock?
That vote's not here though, right?
No.
So that's the vote that starts at 6 o'clock in the morning. Those are my two to get.
So do we just agree on 6?
6
On
and
6 at 6?
Yes.
You're okay with that? You know that you're okay with that?
6 is a good time, or is that too early? No.
Sorry.
All right, so let me go through your packet so you know what we have. Right. You're going to see a packet next in your packet that looks like this. So since the time we last met, I had an opportunity to engage in what I believe to be some very thoughtful and candid conversations with all of your stakeholder groups. And I asked them some key questions and to give me feedback on what they believe are the strengths of the school district, what were the opportunities for growth from their perspective of their stakeholder groups, and what were the qualities and characteristics of the new superintendent that we're working for. So in your packet, those are outlined by stakeholder groups. You also asked me to share with you the job description, and that was provided. And then finally, you asked me to possibly get some key questions that you might want to entertain when you interview the new superintendent. Those are also in your packet.
Oh, great, okay.
And I think they're really well done, and things that you will certainly want to consider as you move forward.
Great.
And then, as I said, I have some additional information that was shared that I would like to share with you on the next meeting.
For the next meeting.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I had a particularly great time with your students. They were thoughtful and perceptive, and they had lots of energy, and they were very proud of the organization, and they have some very definitive ideas about opportunities for growth. And I think that you would very much enjoy what you read. You have a great deal to be proud of. I complimented the staff today for their good work with them. In the next section, I have those interview questions that folks are recommending, and I have those from each of the groups.
Awesome.
And then the next item in your packet, we want to draw your attention to is the almost final copy of the brochure, in addition to the application. I also did want to mention there were some questions that came up about the search process today, and how that would move forward, what it would look like, what my role is. I explained my facilitated role. I also asked a question about salary range and how that was determined and how the board had looked at similar sized schools, salaries of superintendents in the region, outside of the region, and the competition throughout the state at the time that you would be going out and recruiting folks. So those were the kinds of questions that we talked about today and in the community. So if you would, just take one more look at the vacancy notice. I think since you last saw it, I moved some things around because I wanted you to have some space for community and stakeholder input for qualities and characteristics that were not related. And so many of the thoughts of the groups were consistent with yours. But as my secretary and by the way, Linda this work for you today. She was here. So and I get credit to what credit is due. But some of the qualities and characteristics that were not noted in your brochure, based on your conversations, were more about personal characteristics. And those were, a person should have empathy, be approachable, be personable, be respectful, be confident, have a good sense of humor, and be able to be invested in the community, the Hamilton community.
Are we good with those items being added to qualifications on this section of the pamphlet?
How would you add them? Would you add them as a list or in a?
I think I would put them probably in two separate bullets.
Yeah, I was
In
gonna,
categories.
say that needs to be, so I was trying to write them down. Can you read them to me again one more time?
Of course. Empathetic, approachable, personable, respectful, confident, invested in the community, and sense of humor. So I can imagine myself putting them into
Okay.
two separate items.
Yeah.
Dividing them, I mean, most of them, it's not invested in the communities, it's different, it's not a personality characteristic. Is that the division you're talking about?
Yes. I probably would pair that with approachable. Because accessibility was a critical point, a theme that came out today. And that would align with that.
So if we're good with her adding those two bullets, then she'll be able to.
So is that I mean, the only other question, and I think I wrote this on the thing that I sent back to you. This is the mission statement that reads on our website right now. But this is not the mission statement that came with the strategic plan.
But that's true.
So,
This is the school's mission statement first. The strategic plan mission statement is that.
but wasn't the intent of the strategic plan mission statement that that be the mission statement of the school,
I don't know.
of the district?
I think.
And,
Yeah.
and so we just need to align, I think we just need to align them.
Yeah.
And that means updating the website. If we're going to align with the mission statement from the strategic plan, we need to update the website so that it aligns with that.
So let's find that mission on the website, strategic plan mission.
You'll find, you have to find the strategic plan, and I have it with me for this reason, because I was like, but this isn't the mission statement from the strategic plan, and so I went to the website to look for the mission statement, and it's old, it didn't get updated. I think it's just one of those steps that didn't happen in this whole process.
Chris, can you do that for us, please?
Do what?
It's very,
Update
very
mission
simple.
Statement on the website.
You want it to match the one on the strategic plan? Yep.
It's literally to educate every student every day. It's short and sweet.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry.
So, I mean, I just feel like if that's what we're doing, then that's what we should be doing.
I agree, and I'll make that change.
Thank you.
Of course. Any other amendments? Comments?
Just on this section, the district and community,
The district office?
district and community. I mean, it seems to me just a little generic. I don't know how important this is to not be impacted, but it seems like pointing out some more specifics about the school.
I share this twice. I would be happy to add anything else that you.
Well, I sent some to you about that.
Well, I mean, I got your original one.
Yeah, and that's a feedback about this section particularly. I don't know if that got back to you.
I sent everything.
But I'll just, if you want, I can just email you
Yeah.
what I said before.
Could you do that?
Yeah.
Can I just ask sort of what sort of things you were?
Think about, it says we offer, it just has lists of things that we offer, which is great, but is there something, are there specific awards the students have won? I mean, there's a list of awards out there on the wall, that the students have won certain scholarships that we have, we have a these things that would be given to the superintendent? Maybe Pete knows, right? What are the things that a superintendent wants to see as far as specifics?
About the community, about the school.
About the school and
Well,
about the.
it's titled The
conference.
District and Community, so.
Yeah, we have so many students and so many teachers doing so many great things and winning awards and recognized. Seems like that might be something attractive to superintendents.
I'm happy to read those, I'm sorry they're not.
No, I'm sorry that I didn't get to it. Maybe I'll copy Pete.
I have a minute.
I have some ideas, but maybe he has the specifics.
How about, let me ask you to do this. If you send it to me in the morning,
No,
I
I
will
don't
edit it and I will send it.
personal, right?
That sounds great.
And if you could get it to Kathy by the end of the day, that would be terrific.
Great.
Because you really want this turned around.
Right, I'd like to.
I can turn it tomorrow, it's no problem.
And then there is just one typo, that there's guidance, it's missing A in the third paragraph.
What is?
Fourth paragraph, right here.
Actually, okay, so on that, the second paragraph from the bottom, sentence, line 2, cooperation between Hamilton Central School and Colgate University extends student options.
Thank you. Mission statement. Qualifications, I'm gonna add, you're gonna get some feedback from you in the morning.
Yeah.
And then typo with guidance. And Colgate University extends. Anything else?
I think the only other thing that I had sent to Michelle, and it's a minor thing, but it was just, if there's any way to make it so that the central, it says Hamilton Central, just, I don't know, it just looked funny to me. And there may not be anything to do about it, and that may be what it is, but
I don't think we could get it
But,
on the page
yeah.
without splitting it.
yeah, I just thought it, I was like, can we just not split that word? But I couldn't figure out.
Well, if you just.
The only thing I could do is leave a space,
Right.
take out central, move it down, and then leave a space. So I could do that.
I don't know if anybody else feels that way about it. I just,
One
when I saw it, I just.
Printing trick is just indent that first line, that'll shove everything.
Oh,
into
there you
central
go.
and kind of space on the bottom.
That looks better. I don't know, for some reason that just kind of was just a little like, oh.
Well, you can also change it to Hamilton Central Schools Board of Education invites. And if
That's
you have-
true.
And if you have to break up education, nobody's going to care.
Nobody's gonna care, yeah, that's, I'd rather break that up than go to school. I don't, yeah, I don't know, it's just one of the quirky things.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next in your packet is the copy of the application. This is a standard application with general information, with the material deadlines identified. You know, the candidate's personal information, background, education, certifications, employment record, and then key employment questions. Are you hired as a United States citizen? Have you been convicted of a crime? Have you been dismissed or asked to resign from any position? If you answer yes to any of these questions, please attach an explanation. And I'm also asking for 4 references of those individuals familiar with work history and the names of 2 past or current board members that the recommendation to. And then I've asked 2 general questions, which would help the board to learn more about the person's, the individual's writing skills and philosophies. So I'd like to begin by sharing that Michelle and I made an executive decision about
We voted to.
placing an ad yesterday that will not show up until November 5th
Okay.
with NISBA because
Okay.
our deadline was yesterday and
Yep.
it is the paper publication.
Okay.
And it's a simple ad, so
Yep.
nothing
It's
that
the
we're
ad
changing
that
here.
was in your packet.
Yeah, nothing that we're changing on the
Big one?
big one will be affected.
So this will be a cover-page ad in the Onboard newspaper.
Yeah, no, that was the right thing.
We didn't want to miss that publication because it's really key.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I tried to do was
And
cost.
cheap.
Yeah, it's very reasonable. What I tried to do is cost out the most cost-effective options for you and where you would have the greatest opportunity for exposure. So for NISBA, in addition to that publication running in your newspaper, you can also get online advertisement for 4 weeks, which is very effective, and the cost for both of those is $260. Also, we talked about the New York State Council on School Superintendents being the resource that all superintendents go to when they're looking for employment. And that advertisement runs for 45 days online, and the cost for that is $250. The next is the New York State Daily Impact, and that really is where you get the biggest bang for your buck.
Okay.
So the advertisement would go into 30 daily newspapers and 10 weekly publications, and those are in cities across New York State, with the exception of Utica and Syracuse. It does include the Dispatch, which is one of your official newspapers. So that's, so the cost for that, for a line ad, is a little over $1,700. And the display ad, obviously, is almost double. So something for you to think about.
Do people, the people who are qualified that are on the market, are they looking in newspapers for these jobs?
They look in the online versions. Some people do like to read the newspaper, believe it or not.
But will those people look there before they look at his cost?
No. They'll look at NISBA and NISBA first.
And so is there, I guess I'm saying, is there anybody who will miss?
Are we getting bang for our buck by spending that money? Is that what you're
Is
asking?
there anybody who's not, who's going to see it in this New York Daily Impact, who wouldn't have already seen it?
What you get, I think, which I'm not saying is worth this money, but what you get are the people who aren't necessarily looking for a superintendent job. They're just looking in the paper and they see it and they got relatives in the area and all of a sudden they realize, oh, this is.
Or
an
their sister
opportunity.
sees it, or
I
their
wasn't thinking
brother
about it.
sees it, or their friend
Right,
sees it, and
because
says.
those family members and relatives aren't looking on the online superintendent things, they're looking in the newspaper.
But that doesn't affect what Corey's
No,
saying.
I'm just saying that that's the difference, that's,
Yeah, but.
It's almost a different target audience, is sort of what you're saying.
if I'm a superintendent looking for another superintendent position, if I'm somebody who's really gung ho about getting a superintendent position, I'm not looking there. What you get from this is someone who wasn't thinking of it passive, that there's somebody that has connections to the area and all of a sudden sees this ad there, that spurs them into applying. Again, I'm not saying it's worth that investment, I'm just saying I think that's the strategy behind it. And as Ellen said, which I think because family members all of a sudden see it and then tell someone who, again, wasn't looking, here's a position that you may be interested in.
Yeah, did
Those
you-
family
did you
members
see this
aren't looking
opportunity?
at the professional stuff. Again, I'm not saying it's worth that amount of investment, but I think that's what the strategy is.
I'll just go on and then you can tell me what you'd like to do. Your other official newspaper is the Mid-York Weekly, and that is the cost for the weekly run. And then the two cities that are not included in that publication, the Daily Impact, are Syracuse City, and there are two costs identified there, one for print and one for print online, and one, the next one is the Interim Dispatch, which is in Utica.
So, but you said it,
And these quotes are for,
You said the dispatch was included?
not the dispatch, the observer dispatch. This is the
Oh.
daily.
okay.
United Daily Dispatch.
The Oneida
is
Daily
included
Dispatch,
in
got
the
it.
daily.
Got it. That's why I was confused. Got it. Okay.
So we just need to know what your pleasure is.
I think we need to do the first two.
Absolutely.
We agree on that?
Mhm.
To start? All right, so definitely those two.
This would be
I'd like to say we.
publication and online.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say yes. Yeah. I'm also inclined to say we don't need to do the mid-York.
I would agree, although it's the cheapest. but-
It's the
Yeah, but
cheapest,
that's
but
$1
it's-
per paper there.
Yes, but the number of
No.
people that's reaching. Again, it's a thought. Or shoot it down if you think that
No,
we're
I don't know, I think it's the same thing.
Thoughts on the other three?
I think it is remarkably inconvenient that the big one doesn't cover Syracuse and Utica. It triples our cost if we want to really. Can we ask you for a voice of experience about?
Well, let me, yes, so in addition to what you choose, I'm going to be sending this brochure online to 37 district superintendents across New York State
Okay.
to share it with their city superintendents.
Okay.
So that would be another piece for exposure.
I just think of those prices, the other three publications, I don't see us getting a lot of people in, especially if we're covering so much with the other two that are so much more reasonable spending. I mean, it could be upwards of $7,000, right?
Yes.
To get maybe a candidate, maybe a two, I don't know. Doesn't seem like we're gonna get a huge return on that compared to what we get for about $500.
I agree, but I'm inclined to say I would like to do the statewide one, the line ad, to make sure that we've done our due diligence. But that's my only
From the
reasoning
New York
for
Daily?
why. The New York Daily Impact statewide line ad for 1,700. I know
So
it's
which one would the line ad be as far as
The line ad would be
this top one?
the top.
I mean, I understand that that it's a pretty good cost. I know it won't stick out like the display ad. I know we're not hitting Syracuse or Utica. However, we might hit some other parts of the state that maybe would be a good thing to hit. And again, we're trying to do our best to reach all
I agree.
pieces, and I
I'm
know
wrestling
it's
with it.
expensive, but if we do that, I don't think we should do the others, unfortunately, but. And I don't like the cost of it. So that's
If you
my-
do that, we don't think you should do the post standard and observe this. Is that what you're saying? I'm just clarifying.
Yeah. I mean, the cost of it.
I'm not sure I can justify the cost of all three, and it is remarkably inconvenient that the two that are sort of the closest big cities are,
If those were included, it makes more sense. But if
Yes,
they're not
absolutely.
included, That seems like
I know.
the main.
But again, we go back to, what if we find those people that are reading the newspapers in the areas around the state?
Maybe not looking at
With
results
the network
from-
for it. I don't know.
Different.
And I don't like the cost of it, but if we just do, I mean, I guess, this was this, but I guess that's where you go to look for jobs, but.
I guess, I see your point. I guess I kind of flip it the other way around, that the NISBA and the NISCUS one is going to cover statewide people that are serious about looking. Instead of that, I would do the post-standard observer dispatch, because that's where more families, people that aren't really looking, but all of a sudden be spurred into. I have a harder time thinking that someone in
Okay, dear.
Steuben County is looking and thinking, oh, I want to go there. I mean, I think that's a lot of money in the hopes that one person there may get that, where the bang for the buck for Syracuse and Utica If you add those two together, it comes out just about what that daily impact is, but I think your target audience is more effectively reached with those two rather than the daily impact.
How long do those run, that price still? This is a week?
That can't be a week, is it a week?
The Post Standard, it's 7 days. It's one display ad on Sunday, but the online would be the additional cost.
The additional cost is, one of them is insignificant, but the other is.
$100.
Why they charge you more to electronically post something?
Doesn't make sense, does it?
Exactly.
Because they can't do it, that's why,
Because you'll do it.
Somebody has to upload it and maintain it.
All right, so no daily impact. Yes?
Yeah, I kind
Is
of.
that the only one that was doing that way?
I know, I was still processing, but I kind of agree with Paul's approach to this. That if we're looking for the casual or the accidental, it's much more likely that somebody relatively close is gonna be more meaningful than somebody relatively far away.
I feel like I've got no context for doing this because how much did we spend in the last search? So, I mean, are we,
Do you remember, did we all of it last time? I don't remember.
We did not do that week, I
Okay.
don't think.
Yeah, I have no recollection of
Because it's very expensive.
that weekend. And were the prices, I mean, relatively the same then?
There's probably a 5% increase.
Do you do any survey of where people found the ads? Where they found the ad, the job?
Why people apply, where do they?
Typically, people apply because of proximity, attraction to the district. It's a lot about family.
That'd be a great question on the application is where did you see the ad to get some data back at what point? And then we'll sell that data to other people.
Actually, you know what, I'll survey folks. And they come in.
All right, so are we still on the no daily impact? We have to move along a little bit.
We do, we have to make a decision, rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Sorry.
We live with, you know, I mean,
Thoughts on Post Standard and Observer Dispatch?
I mean, I'm skeptical that people who are serious about this job are really looking through the classifieds, or that it's something that's gonna really spark a lot of interest, maybe a few, but I don't know. It just seems like a lot of money for me. Especially because we paid $500 and we're gonna cover.
So here's a
everything
question.
for the job.
For these two that we're in question about, Syracuse and Utica,
Yes.
can in a couple of weeks we decide to post on those?
that's true, that's a good way, because we have to give them a week's notice and we get 1 week of run. So if we've been into our other advertising for several weeks, we could then choose to, and we are seeing
You wanna do
maybe
that?
the response.
Okay, so now I'm going to
Feels a
go
little
to
more-
Michelle, I'll call you.
Okay. So we're going to go with the first two, we're gonna hold on the last two, and we're not gonna do the middle two. Yes? Yes?
yeah, the first two run for 4 weeks to 45 days and the others are
Week.
one shots
Yeah.
or 7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
So I just want to repeat the direction. We're going to go with Facebook, publication and online meniscus. And I'm going to check back with you in 2 weeks after the ads have been out.
And we'll see
Talk to you about progress.
Yes.
And then you make a determination on the next steps.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for being patient with us. Talking out loud.
I'm all set, that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Jen.
Thank you.
And we will see you on the 6th at 6.
And I'll talk to you on comment.
I have enough.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And you're gonna do the update. You're gonna make the timeline. Oh,
Preliminary action, do we have any additions to the agenda?
Yes. I do.
Yes, Debbie does.
Bill just handed me this today, and I want to add 6.4 to 6.4, the swimming with sugar and combined sports.
Okay. Any other additions? May I have the recommended action is for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
A motion to approve the minutes of September 11th regarding the regular meeting and September 27th special meeting. We did that.
I'll move.
Second.
Any comments, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda items as recommended by the superintendent. That covers item 3.1, treasurer's report, 3.2, financial report, 3.3, consideration of claims, 3.4, the transportation report, and 4.1, the extracurricular advisors for the yearbook.
I'll move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, if we could ask the kindergarten teachers to please come down. They're here to,
Is that the floor?
yes, they're here to do a presentation for us. So we're going to move.
Give it here, please.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the board for providing the kindergarten team with the opportunity for a summer curriculum project. The opportunity to work and plan and learn together encourages and inspires us to try new things about curriculum. This summer, we were able to complete our curriculum maps, to look closely at the Hodges Pinnell guided reading kits, and to learn about Seesaw, which is a student-driven digital portfolio and parent communication app. Our original proposal included time to work on aligning our kindergarten assessments with the data dashboard. Our school is in the process of changing to a data dashboard on school tools. So Mr. Ellis allowed us to supplement something else, and Bridget Smith will be sharing the alternative project with you in a few minutes. So as I said before, our curriculum maps are now completed and up to date with the Teacher College suggested progression of units and a newly added. On the district website, our maps are under the curriculum tab. Oops. under elementary, under kindergarten. And here you can see our reading, writing, and math curriculum maps. All you have to do is choose which one you want to see. And each map, you will see the units of study or the sections, map is called sections, in the order that we will teach them during the school year. This is a live document now, so any changes we make to it will automatically be uploaded to the website. So you can see that it has the curricular content, the common core standards, the enduring understanding, the essential questions, and terminology, which is the vocabulary for each unit. So you can feel free to check out when you get the maps for each subject area, and now Meg will talk about our guided reading kits.
Sure. I'm going to pass around a sample toolkit that we worked on making this summer as part of our project to help with guided reading. Last year we received an Emerald Foundation grant that helped us purchase the guided reading libraries from Congress and Canal. We kind of got them mid-year, which is always tricky when you get your content in the middle of the year. So this summer was awesome for us because we were really able to unpack the kits in terms of organizing them, taking a real close look at what was included in the kits, figuring out what resources we needed, learning about the online resources that were also available to us. For instance, we found out that we can make and track guided reading groups through the resources online, and it will even keep track of the books we've used in the lessons, which is a really nice tool. And it also offers some extensions for lessons as well. So one of the things we did was we made a toolkit which includes things that you need. In the beginning of kindergarten, it's really more all about building up the literacy skills. So we are actually really doing a lot of letter work, and in October we start working with names because that's really a very natural way to teach children about letters and sounds and putting sounds together. So this toolkit contains things like alphabet linking charts, which give the children the letter and a word that it starts with so that they can make connections. Then it also has some further resources in it that we can pull out, vowel charts, consonant clusters, those kinds of things that will be really helpful as you come to them in a book and you can give them more examples. And the way I have it made, I can just, it's in there organized for me, but I wouldn't obviously give it to a child like that. I'll take each individual sheet out, and there's usually 4 of everything so that I can give it around to however many children are in the group. One of the things that we also put in there, we made a curriculum map to kind of help us break down the year in kindergarten for guided reading. We're just really in the beginning of guided readings. We just did our benchmarking recently, which is where we see what do you already know about literacy, so we know and we can group them according to the strengths and also according to the strategic, to the strategies that they might be needing instruction in. We've also have been working to organize and create those groups and start to teach the how do you work in a guided reading group, because if I only have 3 kids in front of me, there's 12 other students out there that need to know what to do while I'm working with 3 students so that I'm not disturbed while I'm doing that time. So it's a lot of building in those structures and the routines for the children. So we're kind of right in the beginning, and I've done just a couple guided reading lessons with them so far as we're getting to learn how to be in a guided reading group and what the rest of the class does there. So it was very helpful to be able to create those toolkits.
And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Seesaw. That was when the data dashboard switched, it was going to School Tool. When we asked Kevin, excuse me, Chris Rogers said to us, oh, I've got this great app that I can teach you to use. You'll find it really useful. And all 3 of us met with Chris over the summer. We learned how to use Seesaw. We are lucky enough in kindergarten, each student has their own iPad. I believe other grades also have that. It's not unique to kindergarten, but for us, that was very exciting for each kindergarten student to have access to an iPad. The thing about Seesaw that makes it so great is that it's wonderful communication. It's easy for the teacher to communicate to the families and for the families to communicate back to us. I know Corey's daughter's in kindergarten. You've probably used it. Michelle's son is in kindergarten. For example, we're going on a field trip tomorrow. I can put an announcement to everyone to remember to dress for the weather because it's supposed to be 50. Remember to bring your lunch, but then I can also send a message to one family or two families, whoops, don't forget to send in the permission slip. It's also a great way for me, the app can be on your phone, it could be on your computer, it could be on your iPad. The other day I was taking pictures when we were outside playing in the leaves. And so it's a great way to let the parents see the fun stuff, but also a great way for children to share the content that they're working on. They can record themselves talking about their work. They can take a picture of their work as you see it here. They can, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, they can look at other students' work and like it so they can see what their friends are doing. Let me see if I can get this one. I'm a little sketchy sometimes with the way I use this. What I'm trying, I was trying to show you some, let's see if I can get it to scroll down, sorry.
If you use 2 fingers, yep.
Yep, there we go. So you can see those are the recent things we put on. This is just a fun photo of my class yesterday. They were all piling up leaves and trying to jump in them. Another activity, for example, there was a math activity we did where they were doing 10 apples on top. So Chris came in. Chris has come into all of our rooms and has helped us all learn how to use it because when you have 15 friends who are 5 and 4 and they're learning how to use the iPad, it's helpful to have another adult, so he's team talk with all of us. And they learned how, so first they learned how to take a picture of their work, then they learned how to record. Well, first they learned how to log themselves in. And this one is interesting. The job was to pile the 10 apples on top of the dog, and then record yourself counting to 10. And I almost wish we could listen to this, but we won't. But this is, they never did. The little boy never did end up counting to 10. There's a whole conversation where one friend is talking the other friend through it and saying things like, would you like to hear yourself on this? Yes, I would like to. So
If you point the microphone at it, we might be able to hear.
We might be able to.
Yeah, because we don't have
You're asking a lot.
speakers.
Let's see if I can do it. Because it is very cute.
Oh, press the volume up button on the top, because it's on mute right now. On my keyboard.
On the keyboard.
See the volume buttons?
No, it's not.
Top level. There you go. Up the other way.
The other way, stop.
Oh, this way.
Okay, and then, do you want to hear your voice on this iPad counting to 10 or no? Yes, I do.
Oh, let me see. You have to listen to the, it's really very cute. Let's see if I can get it now. Here we go.
So you did 10, right? Let's wait. Here.
And she's moving it forward.
There we go.
Gotta move your name.
And now wait till I got 10 apples already. Okay, and then do you want to hear your voice on this iPad counting to 10 or no? Yes, I do.
And he ends by saying thanks, it's not on there, but then he can count to 10, he did. But that's just one example. The other thing that's really kind of cool about Seesaw is we can go up to where it says activities and we can search where other teachers have posted activities so we can then share those and do those with our kids, or we can also put our own activities on there and share them back and forth. So we are in the process of still learning. Chris is still helping us. The other thing is now we have what's called Seesaw Pro, and that's going to give us even more possibilities to use it. So it's been really, like I said, teacher-friendly, kid-friendly, and communication-friendly for everyone that's involved with it, and the kids love it. And it's been really nice to have Chris as a resource to come in and help us. So it's definitely something, and one of my goals always has been like to stay as relevant as I can with technology and to try and use it, and so this has been really easy for me to do it. I really appreciate the opportunity to have it.
Yeah, I feel like it teaches them that you don't just have to play with
Right.
technology, that there's serious content you can create, you can share your learning, and so it's really purposeful use of technology, especially if that's hard to find for young children. So it's really nice how purposeful and educational it can be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have second grade.
And I have to say, second grade benefited from kindergarten learning about Seesaw because I received a random invite to Seesaw today over the summer. And I'm like, what's Seesaw? And suddenly, it's part of the second grade school. So.
Do you need that here?
Yes.
You
I log into my email.
do.
Okay, well, Jess is getting herself all set up. I would just also like to thank the board for giving us the opportunity to work over the summer. So we did some framework for the reading and writing units. So the Teachers College updates, I think Ms. Paddington was talking a little bit about that as well, how they do updates of their sequence of units. And so sometimes they change, sometimes they add user guides as opposed to the books that we get to use. And so the user guides are incredibly helpful. They kind of piggyback off of what is in the books. It just gives the kids a little bit of extra time and a little bit of extra support. But the user guides themselves are pretty lengthy and detailed and not organized as well as we as teachers would like them to be. They're not, we can't just pick up the lesson and go with it. So over the summer, we had a chance to go through 3 out of the 5 user guides for reading and writing. It was really, really beneficial for us to look through them and see, what books are we going to use for this unit? What are we going to be teaching each day? It was incredible for us to get it organized and filled out. So we have started, there was one unit that we just started that was revving up writing muscles. That was the very first one that we did. So Jess is going to show you a couple examples of student writing before, and then we did our unit for revving up writing muscles, and then she just kind of shows the progression that they've made. Yes, I would concur and say it's really wonderful to have the time over the summer and in the quiet and to be able to think purposefully about something. And really, when you create a unit, you want to begin with the end in mind. And what we always do with writing is we always, in the first 3 days of school, we say to our kids, okay, here's 45 minutes, you're going to write a story, a small moment of your life, show us what you can do. And then the next day we say, here's 45 minutes, write us an opinion piece, show us everything you remember about first grade writing. And then we do that with information as well. So these are some examples of the first day, second day of school, what kids were doing. So this is one student. And so it says, once I went to Rogers. And, while you're looking at this, certainly volume is something very apparent that you're going to see a change from the beginning of the unit to, 3 weeks later to the end of the unit. Other things that we were looking at in terms of this unit is essential questions. How can I use the tools in my classroom to produce writing about my life? What elaboration techniques am I using to bring my narrative to life? And how can I use a mentor text to lift the level of my writing? So hopefully what you'll see is in the second piece, the craft moves that they're able to emulate from text. So once I went to Rogers, it was very grassy. There is a museum. Okay, so that's his piece in early September. And then this child's piece a few weeks later. We were going to the state fair. I was happy to go for the first time. It was a long ride. We had the radio on. I saw a bird. It chirped. There were a lot of people looking happy. We were crossing a bridge over the road. The bridge was high, 690, right? We finally got to the fair. I was happy to see the fair. Me and my sister were on a dragon. Oops. Me and my sister were on a dragon. I felt happy. There was a lot of people at the dragon. A person was running to another ride. Whoops. So, you can see just in 3 weeks, you know, if you're looking for elaboration, if you're looking for craft moves, if you're looking for internal thinking, which were all of the goals of the unit, certainly having this detailed unit plan, we were able to extrapolate that and teach that to the kids. So then the next, everyone likes looking at student work, right? So this child, you know, when you look at her writing right away, I have taught her absolutely nothing at this point. So I'm not going to take credit at all for this first piece. She already is a very strong writer. So, you know, my job as a teacher is to say, okay, you're here, your progression looks different from the first child's writer, certainly, but I need to know, you know, in my unit plan, where am I going to take you? So one day I was walking home from school with my brothers. One is 15, one is 12. I have a tree in front of my house. It was an adventure. Love the picture. Look at the action on the feet. We ran, breathing in and out. We kept running. And then, we have a little ellipses there. Very nice. We kept running until we got home. Ah! Help! Okay. We kept running until we got home. When we did, there was a miracle waiting for us. The tree was gone. It really was. I thought it was a dream. Okay, so now, if you think about some of the craft moves that we were able to emulate from mentor texts, authors oftentimes use the 3 trick. So they might say, I open the door, I walk down the steps and into my room. So if you dive into picture books, that's just one of the ways that they elaborate. So, you know, in here you might see some of that. You might see some of her internal thinking that she was able to utilize after the lesson. So one day, me and my mom walked down the steps. No, out the door, we walked down the steps and got in the car. We were going to tap class. My mom was taking tap with me. I was scared. My mom was happy. She had taken tap like 45 years ago. I think. We walked in the door. Me and my mom got our tap shoes on. We warmed up before we did moves. We did shuffles. Shuffles are when you move your foot back and forth and you hear the metal on the ball of your feet hitting the ground. Twice. It goes with the music. What you're also seeing here are different colors of pen. Those indicate revision moves and also editing moves. So really what you want any writer to do is constantly revise. So during the drafting process and after, of course. I was smiling and I felt warm inside. My heart was pounding. I made it through tap class. I wasn't scared anymore. Next week, we're going to do flops, or flaps. I can't really see it on there, but I don't know, somebody can come up with another tap sounding vocabulary word. But then we also taught into authors' craft in terms of parts of the text. So this is a blurb. This is a story where me and my mom take tap class. Read to find out what happens. Exciting, right? Okay, and then the last example. Okay, so again, I was playing hockey. Oops. I hit the puck. I scored. My mom was hugging me. We were happy. We won a trophy. And now, the end of unit piece, it was my second day of hockey. I was scared. I was 2 years old. I can do it. I walked out of the locker room, then I walked down the hall, and then stepped on the ice. So, you know, as a reader, when you're listening to that, you're like, I can picture that, versus I just walked out into the rink. I was skating. I was happy. My parents were jumping up and down and screaming and yelling. So, again, it's very exciting to be able to have the opportunity over the summer to be able to really think deeply about what a unit should look like for kids, and especially in the beginning of the year. You know, what I love about Teachers College is that they're constantly revising their thinking and keeping up with the research. So initially, they had planned this unit for 2nd grade, and now, after utilizing it in many classrooms all over the world, they always are taking a step back and thinking, what's going to be best for kids? And it's really, you know, based on research that's happening in the classroom. So, as Susan said, they offered up this sketch of a plan, but then it's our task to take it and really break it down and say, what's this going to look like for our kids? So, thank you very much.
This looks
sign out there.
I'm gonna sign you out forever, Chris, you're not gonna get a lot of back under me, right?
Definitely not.
Okay, just wanna make sure.
When we get set, the next item up is participation from the public. If you'd like to speak, please come down to the microphone. Please do your best to keep your comments to 3 minutes. And, anyway. Okay. We will move on to personnel.
I heard a boy once say, you could do them all at once, pull out what you don't want, if you have questions.
We have 2 leave of absence. We have a motion to approve a leave of absence for Jessica Foyer, effective October 12th through September 30th, 2019, as recommended by the elementary principal and superintendent, and a resignation of Donna Stanistry as school psychologist, effective November 1st. Let's do those 2 together.
Second.
Any discussion?
Thanks to Dr.
That line is missing from that. Those lines, it has always said with sincere thanks from the district or something, hasn't it?
You just did.
Yeah.
That's good, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm abstaining from those, Doug. Appointments. We have Judith Lefevre to appoint to include CSC Chair. We have Jessica Foyer, a motion to approve her as a project coordinator, effective October 15th. We have Victoria McGonis as a long-term elementary substitute. We have we're doing all appointments, so we have winter coaches of boys varsity, boy JV, and boys modified basketball, girls varsity basketball, girls JV basketball, modified 8th grade girls basketball, and modified volleyball 1 and 2, along with the unpaid coaches. We have a substitution list addition.
That would be a 4 points.
Okay. To approve Brian Bain and Bill Bruno as substitute bus drivers, and Christina Orlini Walker as a substitute teacher as recommended. So, appointments through substitute list.
Second.
Any discussion?
I don't know if it's clear on the agenda, but for Jessica's appointment is part of the grant.
Jessica's appointment is part of the after-school grant that we received, yes. She will be the project coordinator for that, for both here and Camden, correct, Camden?
Yes.
Camden. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, we have 3 to modify their end of probation. They have all been, this is to fall in line with what again? Sorry.
It's the 4-year requirement for when you were hired, is to serve a probationary period.
Okay. And
Change from the 3-year requirement.
Yeah.
Used to be 3.
And they all have been notified of this, so we have Capri Trevisano, Peter Massey, and Trish Solomon.
No.
No, Tish is something, well, Tish is something different.
Yeah.
Those are the two.
Sorry.
that-
Last two, I know.
So just Capri and Peter.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Now we have Tish, sorry. As an accompanist for the high school and middle school chorus performances, as recommended by the secondary principal and superintendent for this school year.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Next, we're at 6.2. We have we need a motion to approve the recommendation of the committees on special education and preschool special education.
Second.
Discussion? Is that discussion there? Would have to be an exec session, so all those in favor? Aye. We have 2 donations. I need a motion to accept the following monetary donations with sincere appreciation and to increase the budget by these amounts. We have the Hamilton Bible Fellowship for $389.84 and the Slater Brothers Entertainment for $150.
Second.
Discussion?
I don't understand the district budget will be increased. Why does it say 0? Or how does that work?
For the Slater Brothers.
We budget a certain amount in our annual operating budget for donations that come in, and that's a donation that's become recurring every year.
So it's already been increased.
It's already built into the budget, so up to a certain extent, when it's not earmarked for something specifically, and it's something that's recurring, it just falls within what it was originally budgeted for.
And what about and is that also the case for the Hamilton Bible Fellowship? Is it not applicable under the budget line, increased line?
Right, yeah, so we just put that in that amount that we expect to get in donations each year.
Thank you.
So I just, the other thing I wanted to say is that Slater Brothers have been doing this now for, I forget how many years. And the last 2 years, the Thursday nights that they have done movies that have been fundraisers for the school, it's honestly almost a little bit embarrassing to be there because there's literally 5 or 6 people in the audience. So I just wish there was some way we could help promote that as a district. They're doing it as Hamilton graduates coming back to the area, bringing this thing. And part of what they do one night every year is this wonderful sort of event that's intended to be a fundraiser for the school. And so, again, I don't really know that that's our role as a district to promote such a thing, and it's probably not, but I just feel like it's an opportunity that is there, and if there's some way to maybe tie into the PTO, or maybe Friends of Music, or I can talk to Friends of Music, that sort of thing, but I don't know, it's just something I wanted to throw out there and have people thinking about and the community thinking about and that sort of thing, because it's really kind of a pretty neat event, and to have nobody there is really
I
sort of...
I agree with you, because I remember when we had an actual, one of the, several of the movies were actually produced by Hamilton.
They were this year.
Yes, well, in fairness, or as a way of making excuses, if, at least on several occasions, that night has been a night when there are more than one athletic event taking place also. There have been conflicts. It's just complicated. I agree with you in principle for sure, because they're doing a nice thing, and it's a nice night.
Yeah, so, well, and if there's a time that may be better, I think talking to Grant about, you know, if there's really a conflict and he really wants to do something for the school, I think talking to Grant about it, I think he'd be open to it, actually. So, anyway, again, it's probably not our role. I should probably...
When is the event? When is it tend to take place?
Last week of July, first week of August. So it's not conflicting with
Yeah,
sports.
I'm trying,
The only thing it conflicted with was music in the park. There was music in the park that night.
I just remember like having 3 days to go.
That is a
Why
big
don't
event.
we look into it and see? Let's look into it. Okay, that's-
And I think Grant really likes having the student movies there too. And there was a student movie the night of the fundraiser. There were a couple of student movies. There were 2 or 3 student movies before. And only one of the student directors came, but one of the student directors actually came and was able to stand in front of the crowd and answer questions with the other directors that night. So it's all good.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
6.4, a motion to approve the Hamilton Central Schools participation in Waterville's Varsity Golf Program and Sherburne and Earlville's Swimming Program as recommended by the Interim Athletic Director. Did I get that right? Right. Working on the fly.
Well done.
Good.
Oh,
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? How many do we have in each of those?
We have one male 7th grade golfer, and we have 3 high school students, 2 brothers that swim, and we have 1 female that wants to swim this year. And both combinations have been approved by the Center State Conference.
Thank you to both of those schools. All those in favor?
Aye.
A motion to approve the curriculum framework for small animal care course as recommended by the secondary principal and superintendent.
Second.
Any discussion?
It's a great opportunity.
All those in favor?
Aye.
A motion to accept the 2017-18 independent audit that we just went over prior to this room meeting. And authorize the superintendent to distribute its required copies.
Second.
Discussion? I think the biggest thing that I learned is we did pretty well this year. Thank you, Matt, and team, and all, for keeping us in the good lines for that audit.
Good job.
All those in favor?
Aye.
A motion to approve the Hamilton Central School District. I think I did that wrong. A motion to approve that Hamilton Central School District is a local agency pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQRA, and to adopt the special meeting of qualified voters on December 18th, 2018, from noon to 8 p.m. in the bus garage to consider undertaking a capital improvement project as we've discussed. Motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Discussion? Yes.
We're trying to change the word, so we'll say
It's done.
3. Oh, it is? Oh,
It's
you
done.
got it.
She got it on right before.
All right, good.
We got the pre-K in.
I'll be quiet. This is
How many
a-
of us sent you emails?
This is a pre-K-12 building.
It is. Everybody needs to know that for some reason. Yes. It always has. Well, not
Go ahead,
always.
Ruth.
No, it's all good.
We
It's
got it.
perfect.
Good. Thank you.
Other discussion?
Thank you.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So we're going on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going.
Yeah.
We already have one scheduled.
Yeah, thanks
Do
to
you?
Jen, thanks to Jen for the
Where?
PTO.
Excellent.
So we're starting.
Nicely done.
Present information.
Next up is our discussion on board goals that I will now turn the microphone over. Turn it on.
Yeah.
To Cory.
So I guess it's just a question where we want to go from here. So I did update the goals according to suggestions. But also Ellen had put together, drafted together according to more of a NISBA format that she had. So I guess the question for us is, what do we want to do? The suggestion Ellen had was a special, or something, a workshop, a public workshop, where we can kind of go through these in detail together. What about comment right here?
I really like the first draft that we got from Corey as opposed to the layout that Ellen worked up. I'm sorry, Ellen.
That's, I am not personally offended, and when I said it to him, and I said if everybody hates it, that's fine, but it actually helped me to think about it. I'm very linear, and it helped me to think about it, and so. One of the things I said when I sent it to him is that I think whatever we set as goals, for me, this is the what, how. We're setting a what, and then it's the how that everybody down the line gets to determine. And I said it was very important for me when we set the what, that the hows could be SMART goals, that they could be measurable, SMART goals. And so I don't know that that changes anything about how we write it or anything else, but that was one of the things that was important to me as we, you know, like the one example you and I talked about was saying, you know, improving culture. You can't write a SMART goal for that. So if that's sort of the sort of thing we're looking at, just making sure that what we're putting out there is something that is achievable and measurable and all of that stuff.
I guess my own opinion is I've done goals that way, and I agree with you, and I like that. But I also like the feel of the first one. It just seems more of a narrative. It just seems more us, to be honest with you, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. But
I agree.
so to me, it resonated easier. I liked it. I found that it fills in more of kind of an overall feeling of what we do, the way the first one was written. The second is kind of this clinical thing. Either's fine with me, but I know,
Okay.
funny that you would come up with a clinical one. It's shocking.
And then there was something about, you mentioned about doing a workshop.
That would be, I think, if we wanted to go through.
Like if we really want a space and a time to really sit down and flesh them out and talk about how, I mean, regardless of how it's presented, what goals we want to set.
Well, at the very least, we only received this tonight, so I
Right.
want to read it and think about it before I commit to a workshop.
Yeah, at this moment, I don't see the need of a workshop, but let's review these and we can put it on the agenda for next month as a discussion, and we can move it to a vote if we feel that we're ready for it at that point.
And then just for this draft, the only change from the previous was on that number 3, which was before section 1. The other now just list those as what we'll be working on. So that's the only one that's really changed in the use of stamps.
So we'll keep this on.
Do you have another copy? Corey submitted another one.
Yeah,
I have this one.
This one, do you want this one?
You want that?
You want that one? You should have that one.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's all.
The one that I laid
Yeah,
out.
we just take it.
This one,
That's 2
Oh, that one is two
That's,
This one, mine's not.
He's revised because
Oh, okay, the one.
trying to collapse this to just list it. We talked about it.
So this is wrong.
Yeah.
This is the one that you told me.
No.
Correct.
All right, so we will continue our discussion on 6.8 next month.
Do we want, last time we had said everybody would submit comments to Corey by a certain date so that he could process them. Do we want
I
to
think
do
now
that
it's
again, or you just want to
discussion.
talk about it here? Okay.
6.9, report regarding the ELA and math test results. I believe that's.
And Kevin has a quick report, quick.
Yeah, I have like 6 slides, if you guys don't mind moving it. All right.
Okay, thanks. So I just want to give a very brief report on 3.8 testing. We did very well in our testing this year. Hopefully what I show you today, you'll feel the same way. This testing is tough to measure from year to year because they change the test on us every year. So it's hard to say, look at the scores in 2016 and compare them to this year because they're two almost entirely different tests. Some of the content's the same, but they change the structure of it, the timing, various things. So,
When you say this year, you mean the school year we're currently in?
2018, yeah.
Okay.
So this was taken in, this is ELA, so it was taken in the spring, yeah, of 2018. So we had a 61% proficiency rate, and the state's average was 45%. And so one of the ways we use the test to compare numbers is between these two. So we can go back and we can see that over the years, how well we do compared proficiency-wise to the state level. It's a good comparison because they're the same kids taking the same test, so it doesn't matter if it's year to year. We can see that back in 2006, we were 4 percentage points above the state average. We can see that now we're 16 points above the state average. On a graph that looks like this, and so this is the last 13 years of each .BN and ELA year test, you can see that we kind of go up and down, but there's a general trajectory here of upward motion over 13 years. So what that's saying is we are outpacing the state average, which is 0 in this case. And this year we're 4 percentage points, if you remember, in 2006, and now we're 16. So you can see that it's a trajectory that's going like that. And that's a good way for us to measure systems that we use, reading programs, big systems, big things. And so it's a decent way to do that given what we have. In math, you're going to see the same thing. Again, you compare the two, we had 63% proficiency rate. Again, that's not passing, that's proficiency. And you can see a trajectory over the last 13 years that's an upward trend. You know, if you were to kind of step back a little bit back here. Yes, we will. It's an upward trend. One of the things I'd like to note in this is that during that upward trend and ELA and math scores increasing, at the same time our free and reduced lunch population has doubled in essence. So if you look back, it was around 17% in 06, 07, 08, 14% here in 09, 32% last year. I only know that because I calculated. The state hasn't given us the data on that yet. Just based on my calculations, we're 32. And that was 2017-18. This year right now, I just finished the calculations. In the elementary, we're at 35%. So it's continuing to grow, this poverty rate. So I think that says a lot too, that we're still continuing to outpace the state, and we have an ever-growing impoverished poverty rate.
We don't have stats on how that continues here with students do, right?
Yes, I mean, I can get all that for you, yeah.
I just think, I mean, they keep talking to us about a focus group, if we can show that we're really moving it up and we're improving that.
In about 5 minutes, I can find that slide here. I actually had graphed that as well too. It's not the same trajectory. It doesn't look like this. It's at average or slightly above the state average, which is not something to be proud of, to be honest with you. So we're working at that. We want something to do that. And that's why we're focused history. And then one of the other things that we have to pay attention to when we do 3A testing is our participation rates. We met our expectations this past year, but according to what the state is saying, we will not get off a focus district distinction because we're not meeting the 95% participation rate yet. Unfortunately, that's keeping us there. A couple of years ago, we had an opportunity to get off because the state said if you've got X, Y, and Z, you can get off the list. Well, we had X, which was if you had a graduation rate above the state average for the last three consecutive years, and we were well above state average for the last 3 consecutive years. So we took that evidence, put it together, and sent it up to Albany. We were told by Iowa Schwartz firsthand, you can get off if you have this. The word of mouth was great, perfect. So we sent it up, waited, didn't get anything back. The final hour, we had to have a focus district grant submitted. We said, look, we haven't received any information back from IDA yet. We got 45 minutes later, we got a response from them that said, yes, you've met all your goals. You have an outstanding graduation rate, but you still have a declining participation rate. This was when we were here when we asked for that. So he said, yeah, nice, you're doing really good, but you're not participating like we'd like you to. So this is something we have to pay attention to. This graph is showing something that's somewhat encouraging for participation rate. You can see that 5 years ago it was 100%, and if that went back, you'd see 100% all the way. About 5 years ago, it started to decline. You can see 67 or 87, 61. We dropped out at 51% 2 years ago. This past 2018 test, we were at 61%, so we're starting to come back up. Well, what's even more encouraging is in the last 2 years in elementary, we had a 77% participation rate last year. So you can do the math on this here. The middle schools was quite low, and they'll vouch for that. That's the group that kind of was in here opting out of tests, and as they move into the middle school, they're continuing to opt out of tests. So it's starting to work its way out. In fact, the third grade participation rate was in the 80s. So the test is a little easier to tolerate. I think they made some changes that you're seeing more people saying, hey, why not have our children take this test? So that's something that we need to keep a close eye on. That's the 3A testing update. Questions? All right, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Tom.
Our turn, Debbie?
Next up is Pete.
No, our turn, Debbie. This is coming up, not this week right now, but we're coming up on School Board Recognition Week, which is October 22nd to the 26th, but we're not going to meet again until November. So we have certificates for G. Corey Lucas. Yay! Mary Jarko, although we got a formal name, Harold. And we have a formal name, Paul. And Ellen. And Michelle. So the New York State School Boards Association issues certificates to serving board members, and I think our board's done so well, they're going to get a 12% raise next year. So let's thank our board. 12% of zero is, I was looking at Sue, how's my man, Sue? 12% of zero is, there is cider and there are donuts, and what do we have left?
Not too much.
Not too much, shall we?
Finish off the late.
Yeah, let's do this then. Administrator's update. So I'm looking, Mary, any thoughts about what's happening in your world in the past month or
We had
so?
an exciting event. We had Special Olympics in Canastota on Wednesday, and 2 of our students were able to participate. So we had the students come perform and Bill graciously arranged for the whole day. It was a hockey bill, which hockey players came over, and during the forum, they really cheered the 2 boys on, and it was just a wonderful event, and the boys were really excited. So I heard Danny did more waving than participating.
Hi, people, right, Dan? Hi, people, buddy.
So that was a really exciting event for our kids. Also, I've been working with Donna to ensure smooth transition, so we don't have any services for our students as she leaves for a new adventure and in between hiring a new psychologist. And also, we've just been working on special education policies, procedures to make sure that we're efficient and working within the regulations. So it's been very good.
Thanks, Mary. Chris?
Sure, I can go. Just continuing to try to work on systems and procedures when it comes to the technology department so that everybody knows what to expect when it comes to having things work the way that they expect them to work. So that's, I feel like that's coming along nicely. I feel like I've heard good feedback about that. We had some discussions at PTO meetings and other places about trying to streamline our online calendar to communicate better with everyone. So I've started to build that out. You can see that there's a new page on the website just called the Big Calendar. So far, I have a section for the sports there. The Hamilton Coalition has a community calendar that's up there. And then we also have school events, but we need to meet to work on systems and procedures to make sure that the events that are up there are the ones that need to be up there. So that's almost there. You heard from the kindergarten. I'm working very closely with them. It's fun to have the opportunity to work with the kids. It's always my favorite thing to do. And it's nice to see the teachers so excited about working with the technology. We've also had discussions in the leadership teams about a responsible way to move forward on hardware updates without the SMART grant. It just feels like we are going to be waiting forever for that, and I want to, if it's possible, inside the budget, come up with a responsible plan to start updating our technology without it, because at this point, who knows how long we'll wait. So I've been working closely with Matt, who, as you know, is great with numbers, and he's going to keep me on the straight and narrow. That's my update.
Thanks, Chris. Kevin, Bill?
Sure. This past half-day conference day, under the direction and supervision of the PE department, some of our elementary teachers worked with the PE department to create fun and engaging physical activity videos, which they've uploaded to a YouTube channel, so that teachers in the classrooms can use them for what we're asking for is 5 minutes each day to do physical activity. Most of our teachers already do that. We're just kind of codifying this and putting this together. Most of our teachers do mindfulness, yoga activities, those sorts of things, but some do physical activities. This was more, the videos that we made were more fun. They had teachers involved and having fun doing dances and different things. So the teachers can bring them up in the middle of the day or at the end of the day or in the morning when they need the kids up and moving, get some wiggles out. They have that, and at the same time, they're doing meaningful physical activities, which brings our accountability to the state. We're accountable for PE every day in K through 2, and 3 through 5 is 3 days a week, and so we're making sure we meet those requirements. Teachers have started doing that. So that was good. I also wanted to say just briefly, I know there was some questions that were going about the email to the board about dyslexia and some of what we're doing here to help with that. We have IMSE Orton Gillingham training coming here November 26th through the 29th. They're going to provide 9 of our reading and special education teachers and our speech teacher Orton Gillingham method training for teaching reading. This gets at a desperately needed Tier 3 intervention that we need for our students who are really struggling with reading. And to add to that, each classroom teacher in pre-K through 2 is also, we purchased Wilson Foundation Tier 1 classroom phonics kits. These are built off of the Orton Gillingham methods, and they go along with them so that all students will be receiving some desperately needed systematic phonemic instruction within the classroom. There'll be training to come with that too. We have Audrey Miller, who piloted it last year, is going to be bringing the teachers some training and some unpacking of this on our October 19th Superintendent's Conference Day. So we're trying to keep up to meet the needs of our students in reading and make sure that we provide every possible service that students could need and strategies. So. And then obviously our Fall Festival Parade is coming up on Halloween, 1/15. If you're interested in coming out in the community, it'll be fun. It always is. Hopefully it will not rain on that day. It's always a challenge when it does. If it does, we have a plan B, parading through the hallways. And we also have our what are we calling it? Our pumpkin walk coming up on the 26th. 19th, Friday, so that'll be fun too. Hopefully everyone will come up for that.
We are also having 2 teachers in the secondary trained in OG, which will allow the continuation of services to extend through the secondary school, which will be much needed and be able to service some of our kids. I'd like to thank Mrs. Qualsey and Mr. Bain, who provided an opportunity for 23 of our art students last weekend to go to New York City as a cross-district collaboration with Oneida, and from all accounts, they had a great time, and it was a great experience for our kids, so thank you. Mathletics, our defending champion mathletics team kicked off their season this past weekend, Saturday? 2 weekends ago. So they had their first meet of the season, came in second, so there's a lot of season left for them to defend their title.
It's like Super Bowl champs, they're always the one that's targeted.
Always. And it's Spirit Week, so if you want a sneak preview of the hallways when you leave, go up through the secondary. It was looking good when I came down, and tomorrow's our annual Green and White Day and pep rally, so that's always fun, that annual Ringer Ball tournament to cap off Spirit Week. So congratulations to Mrs. Freeth and the Student Council for organizing that. They did a great job, so that's what happened.
Debbie, what am I supposed to talk about? Do you know? I have a couple. Do you remember anything? Oh, she fills me in a wee bit.
Did you write it down?
No, I know. I forget. All right, I'll piggyback a little bit on what Chris said. I've been exploring different ways to try to figure out the smart bonds. Chris and I haven't sat down really put it together. We're thinking of going to our assembly person or a state senator. Because Camden, I had heard that Camden had not gotten it, but they did something and it broke the deadline. So the direction I'm being led in is try to work through the RIC, see if Heather knows some stuff. If not, get to the politicians. We got to figure this out. We've been waiting, 2 years? Year and a half, 2 years? Concern I have is that our machines are getting older. We have a plan to replace. We want to. If we start using some budget money to do that, then suddenly we get the smart bonds money. And so we're going to try to really push this. So that's the other thing. All of you present tonight know how terrific the students are in this school district. I just want to give an observation. I've been very fortunate to attend. We talk about academics in our district so much, and it is so meaningful to our district. I've been sneaking around to a few athletic events. I got to tell you, the behavior of our students at athletic events is, this word I'm looking for is non-parallel. It's outstanding. Exemplary, unparalleled, phenomenal. You can't tell if our teams are ahead, behind. Our kids there's just a calmness to them, there's a confidence to them. The coaches, the interactions between the kids and the coaches, sportsmanship, the skill level of our students. They are ambassadors for this school district. And I'm very, very proud every time I go. And I sit in a bleacher somewhere. Not that I made a lot of games, but boy, the ones I've made, I'm just so proud of our kids. So that's all I had, Debbie. I think I've been trying to communicate as we've got questions, whether they've come from teachers, community, board members. We've been trying to communicate and keep the district informed. And I don't know, I think we had a good start to the year. I'm looking at Bill and Kevin, and Chris, and Mary. We've had challenges. I hope we've met them, and we will continue to go forward. I can't believe we're looking at Halloween and boom, Thanksgiving, and what, the Christmas break, and that's the first of the year. What the heck? Goes by really fast. So that's all I have, unless you have any questions of me or something I should comment on that I didn't. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steering committee updates. I will do one for the elementary steering committee. We have not met yet.
Yeah, next
we meet next
Thursday.
week.
Yep.
So next month there will be an update on that committee. Next. Somebody?
Secondary?
Yes?
Yeah, we met this week?
Mhm.
This week. Our first meeting, and just Bill did a good job of laying out what the committee does and what our parameters are, and then we kind of brainstorm what are the types of ideas that we want to work on, what's the initiative we want to work on. We came up with far more ideas than we can accomplish in a year, so we're going to be thinking about that and come up with one that we can really tackle over the next year. I think it'll seem like we were leaning toward an idea related to climate connections in that area, so trying to improve the school in that regard, but it's still up for debate. So.
Great. I think that's it. I'm just going to say Paul, because he didn't know what legislative meeting update was, although he asked for it. So, Paul.
Well, the title is a surprise to me, that's all. So I actually have a couple different things, as kind of the BOCES rep. I went to the safety symposium thing that they put on, so I wanted to discuss about that. But before I get to that, we'll do the more mundane items. They've asked us all to consider signing a letter and sending it to the state legislature and the Governor Cuomo, actually. I'll try to be as brief as I can with this. I wasn't aware of it, but there's state law 3203. The district superintendents for BOCES have been under a salary cap for the last 15 years. I don't know of any other profession where they say, well, this is the amount of money that you can make, and we can't go beyond that, and it's been blocked at that for 15 years. So, all right, I'll just talk about it. And I don't want to get into the money and the dollars and all that stuff, because basically that to me isn't what it's really about. It's about fairness, and it's about trying to get quality people and keep quality people. And if you can't increase their salary, and it's based upon what they were making 15 years ago, you're not going to get very good people, and you're not going to keep them. So there's finally, this has been sitting forever. The legislature has finally passed the bill, and it's on the governor's desk, and it's been sitting there forever with no comment that he's ever going to move on it. So they're asking the different individual component boards to sign a letter. This is the boilerplate letter that they gave us. So if we would like to, I've got it done. We can sign it. We can get it out. It's just giving our support that we think this arbitrary cap should at least be updated. As a sense of fairness. Okay, so we'll pass it around. You can read it and see what you want to do and let me know. The second part, which may be even more depressing, but so I went to a workshop on safety, and it's just something I want us to really consider and to look at. Something that I think we should take a serious look at this year. And I don't want to get overly, enthusiastic or try to get us all worried about it. But some stats really jumped out from this program. So in 2018, the country averaged a school shooting per week. The one stat that really amazed me is more children were killed in public schools in 2018 than soldiers were killed in combat zones in 2018. Now, obviously, you can look at those stats and say, well, there's only 100,000 soldiers, there's 500,000. I mean, yes, things. But what I want us to focus in as the fact is when I was a kid at school, it was never even something that I considered. It was never a thought in my mind that someone was going to walk into my school and start shooting. Never would I have thought of that. Our children today live with that understanding every day of their lives. And I think as a school board and as an administration, we need to take a serious look down the road of not only keeping us safe, but making our kids know that we're paying attention to their safety. That we are as concerned about their safety as they are, because they have lived a totally different experience than we had as children. And I think at times we get lulled into the sense of confidence that this won't happen in Hamilton, or I can't perceive of this possibly happening, because it wasn't the way we grew up. We have kids who are buying backpacks with bulletproof material. I can't conceive of doing that when I was a child, but they're doing it now. And I think we need to look at our systems. And one of the things, two things that they gave as suggestions. One is a suggestion based upon the school shootings that have happened. One is a prediction, which I think is a great idea to try to get in front of things before they happen. So first, the biggest thing we can do, and you guys, I may be preaching to the choir, you guys may already know this, but the biggest thing we can do to improve safety and survivability of a school shooting is locking classroom doors. Number one. And he actually had a demonstration in this workshop where he told someone to take a key and go to this door. So like if this is my desk, go to the door and lock that door right now as fast as you can. You're under no pressure at that moment, and it still took the person 30 seconds to get to that door and to lock it. By then, you're already dead. That's just the fact. And when your adrenaline's flowing and you're fearful of being shot, try to get a key into a door to lock it. It's not going to happen. So a lot of schools are changing their policies and saying during the school day, your door is just locked. I mean, if you want an example of this, I can't remember which school it was, Sandy Hook, after he shot his way through the window, not through the door, because he knew the door was locked, went into the hallway. The first people that were murdered was the principal or superintendent and the guidance counselor, because they were in a student meeting. As they walked out, he shot them. He went to the next classroom. The next one was a classroom. He tried the door, it was locked. None of those children were injured. He went to the next classroom, because it's all about speed. These things happen in less than 30 seconds. He went to the next classroom, the door was open, multiple fatalities. Simple thing that we could look at to do that costs us nothing. It's about changing a policy, being aware of the situation, and making it happen. The second thing which really struck me is he talked about trying to predict what could happen in the future. Vehicles are being weaponized now. We've seen this, all right? London Bridge, a vehicle goes and plows into a crowd of people, Times Square people, and this is what's happening now. But if we thought about if someone sees us on TV and they want a casualty count, where could they run into our kids? Simple barriers, simple ways of just putting up those like concrete jersey barriers could prevent that from happening. But until he said that, I never thought of it. I never even considered that we have kids at risk on a playground area because you could just drive onto it. So there's a warning signal from an expert. I think we should take heed to it and listen to it. And the third part, to keep your depression going for the day, and then I'll stop, it had to do with other things. So you may not know what this is, and if I pull this off, you're all going to tell me it's a USB. It looks like a thumb drive. This is a Juul device. This is a vaping device. $17, bought it today. You can buy it in any fast track. And then it's a nicotine device, or you can put in other drugs. And how many times kids, what is happening, it's an epidemic right now, they're plugging this in while they're in class. Because that's how it charges up. And then they're ready to vape wherever they are, in the bathroom, outside, whatever. And I think most people don't even know what they are. I didn't. So, I mean, I bought it if you want to use it in training or anything, I don't need it, but I just wanted to be aware of it. If I saw this in a classroom, I would just think it's a USB. I would have never thought that this is a way to introduce drugs to our students. What is that? That's enough for me.
Okay.
Well, if somebody wants to use it, you now train with it.
Yes, I will.
Well, thank you, I think.
Yes.
Very informative. Yes. And thank you for going to those workshops. That now takes us to 8.0, which is participation from the public. If you would like to come forward to the microphone, please do so. Please try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. Anybody make a motion?
Zach Darrow, I'm a teacher. I just wanted to respond to your building safety. That is one thing Bill has talked to at least the secondary about, keeping our classrooms locked, keys in your pockets so that they're accessible at all times. Because like Paul said, if you have them in your desk, you're on the other side of the room, you can't get to them. So that is one thing that we have as a staff talked about, and I'm sure Kevin will and Terry. So,
Yeah, teachers have, they're locked at all times, because they're little guys, you know, if you step outside and the door shuts, and then now the kids are locked in the inside, how are you gonna get in there? So we have like a magnet flap, or a little flap that goes over. And so when you need to lock your room, just flip the magnet up, so you're not fumbling for keys and whatnot.
So I just wanted to bring that
Well, again, I'm not trying to indict anybody.
No, absolutely.
That's the
Just
information I got.
so that we have an awareness that is something that we're actually practicing for community members and their work. And also, thank you for involving the different groups that were there today to have their opinions and voices heard in the superintendent search. Just wanted to say thank you as a teacher that was in one of the focus groups. That was much appreciated.
All
3 of them. Most schools.
We will move to exec session. There will be no vote afterwards. We are moving to executive session. I need a motion for matters leading to employment of a particular person and pending litigation. Again, we will have no vote afterwards. Motion?
I would also like to, there are some, I would like to ask Mary Walker and Debbie to stay with just some pieces of the executive session before the board, if it's okay with the board. That will be.
All those in favor to move to executive session? Thank you all for attending tonight.
Someone does that. And now you can download Dropbox, so I can read more cider.
You can use Dropbox online.
Please take some cider and donuts on your way out.
Oh, wait, it's up to the
Please.
second round.
Good breakfast.
He's
Thank
doing
you.
both.
Thanks so
That's amazing. No, me.
There's actually other companies